attractive body. So you might be looking at this picture and thinking like, okay, so this is his starting point. You know, not great, but not bad. This was not the starting point. This was actually 2 years of lifting experience later. So you'll see later on in this video what my actual starting point was. But if you think this is the starting point, then let's just say you're in for a while. And this is what I currently look like. So these pictures are roughly a year and a half apart, but I only say about 8 to 9 of those months were actually useful. So you can see this is pretty much an 8 or 9 month transformation. So first of all, why should you care? So there's a lot of harsh truths of the world, and one of them is that looks do matter. And I don't mean that in like a shallow way. Like I'm not talking about like bone structure or like like plastic surgery, but I just mean the looks that you can control, like your physical appearance, the clothes you wear, your hygiene, how even your body looks. These are important things, and we should not pretend that they're not. We do live in a world where, unfortunately, a book is judged by its cover. Like, you know that very popular statement about how you shouldn't judge a book by its cover? That's what we all do, whether we like it or not. We all judge a book by its cover. So, what is the cover of an out of shape man? Basically, this cover, even though they might be an amazing person, there's a lot of people that are like aren't the most physically attractive, but of course, they're still amazing people. But the first impression you get when you see an out of shape man, with a beer belly, double chin, first things you think are lazy, comfort, complacent, gluttony, which just means like you're eating and just like basically just being hedonistic. That's what you think of when you see an out of shape man, most likely. Even if you don't realize it, that's what's probably subconsciously going on in your mind. And what we want is that for not to happen to you, right? Because no one wants to feel like that. And, it would be nice if no one felt like that about anyone, but like I said, there are truths in this world, and if you want to be a part of life and like actually excel at life, you can't hate the player, just hate the game, I guess. But even with the game, you still gotta play along with it. Being in shape, on the other hand, it commands respect because everyone can see how much hard work and dedication you put into being in shape. Everyone knows that it's hard because if it was easy, then everyone would be in shape. It would be that simple. Everyone would be in shape if it was that easy. But if you look at statistics, you're more likely to become a millionaire than be in shape, like have abs as a person. Because if you Google it, like I think the percentage of people in the U.S. that are millionaires is roughly 8 out of 100, but the percentage of people that have abs in the U.S. is 2 to 3 out of 100. So you're 3 times more likely to be a millionaire than to have abs. That's how crazy it is to be in shape. That's how much respect that commands. And when I say abs, I don't even mean like being like insanely ripped a bodybuilder. I just mean like having abs. Like that itself is so rare that puts in the top like few percentages already. And in terms of myself, I am nowhere near my end goal. I am still what I'd consider like maybe an early intermediate, which is why I make very beginner friendly advice because I know what it's like to be a beginner. I've been a beginner recently and I've got out of it, and I can help you do the same without like making the same mistakes I did. So currently, I'll give you some of my stats. I am 5'10". I'm about 160 pounds and 19 to 20% body fat. My goal is to be 180, 185 pounds, probably like 15, 16%. So as you can see, I have a long way to go before I reach that, probably another few years at least. So, you're not following a guy that has his end goal out, but he definitely knows how to start. And that's exactly what this video is. So first of all, a lot of people will say when they first see this title, even though you clicked on it, is I don't care about being attractive. Here's a correction. You're probably saying you don't care about being attractive to girls, which itself might be a cope, which itself might just be a lack of self-awareness, but we'll get to that later. That doesn't really matter for this video. It's more than just being attractive to girls. It's about whether you want to attract people into your life. Do you want better people in your life? Do you want better friends? Do you want to attract better people into your life? That's what being attractive really means, more than just like attracting the opposite sex or attracting like a dating partner. People like being friends with someone they can look up to and admire. And that can be you one day if you really want to put in the work and admit that you do care about being attractive, maybe just to people in general. Because like, yeah, it's nice to be friends with equals, but a lot of the times you like having friends that can like you want to look up to. Like just think about it like there's always a guy that like is always invited to the party, and like sure it's not always about looks, but a large part of it is about the looks. Like there's obviously exceptions to like this rule. There's like obviously out of shape guys who are like insanely popular who have like just good social skills naturally. But like, if you're honest, like, people like you and me, we are average people. We don't have amazing social skills. We're on YouTube. We're chronically online. We might actually have underdeveloped social skills. So like, while this is not a replacement for that, getting your foot in the door in terms of being an attractive person or like just being in shape definitely helps. And if you're doing it for girls and you can admit that, then I have a lot of respect for you because you have a level of self awareness that most people do not. Because most people will deny this till the end of time or just not even be aware why they're actually doing things they do. If you're able to admit this, then I have a lot of respect for you. So we're gonna make some assumptions in the beginning just to make this video a bit more streamlined for you. So we're just gonna assume that you're a man under the age of 25 because usually the attractive body for men over 25 is a bit different, but it's not that much. If you're like 27, you can still watch this video and be like pretty informed. Assumption number two, you care about looking attractive, either to have better people in your life or for girls. This is pretty self-explanatory based on the last slide. Number three, you are skinny fat, but even if you're like just skinny or just fat or like on either end of the extreme, just take the advice in this video. The rest of the video still applies to you. Just either bulk or cut if you're skinny or fat. You should know which one you are. But if you're skinny fat, this should also help you a lot. I'm also assuming that you have a gym membership or a home gym or like some way to actually like use weights. Like this is not like a calisthenics channel. I mean, you obviously you can get in shape doing calisthenics, but this guide is mainly about using weights. So I want you to have access to like probably at least a barbell, a pull-up bar, etc., etc. Like just the basics, bare bones, a power rack, stuff like that. I'm assuming you have access to that. If you don't, just buy a gym membership. It's $20, $30 a month for probably the cheapest ones. Maybe somewhat the one at my university, for example, for off-campus students is $10 a month. And if you're thinking that's like not worth it, being in shape is priceless. It's worth way more than $30 a month. I'd say spend that happily. Okay. And assumption number five, which is probably a very realistic assumption for a lot of you, is that you may watch a lot of fitness content, but you still haven't made that much progress, and you still probably have no clue what you're doing just because like there's so much information overload thrown at you that you have no clue where to start. And like that's a problem that fitness has, self-improvement has, even cooking surprisingly has that. It's just a problem that like most information channels have where they just like throw information at you and you have to like think of like, okay, where do I start? And that's why I want this channel just to be for beginners. And then if you're a beginner, just like I used to be, then this will help you a lot without just throwing information at you, being like, okay, daily undulating periodization, like all this stuff, RPE, like you don't need to know that yet. You can learn that later when it's actually applicable to you. But if you're still skinny fat, if you look down, you have like no arms and like no legs and like not even like a chest to look down on, then like don't worry about it, dude. You'll get there at one point. Just focus on the basics for now. So another just quick admission, I guess, my physique is pretty mediocre as far as fitness influencers go. Like you probably clicked on this video thinking like, this guy, I mean, he has a physique, I guess, but like it's not comparable to like Greg Doucette or Alex Eubank or like Jesse James West and like all these other guys. So like you can see objectively, there's not much muscle on there. I've made a lot of progress from where I started, which is what I'm hoping I can help you with. I'm not even that lean. I'm probably like 19 or 20% body fat. You can see there's like some love handles. No like excess hanging fat, but there's a bit of love handles there. Almost outline of abs, but not quite. So I'd probably put myself at 19 to 20% body fat. It just, you can see I have some novice gains with like, you know, a bit of a V taper, maybe some chest, a bit of shoulders. If you had to rate this out of 10, it's probably like a 4 to 5 out of 10 body. If a 10 was like, you know, perfect, amazing, like Mike Thurston level body, right? And that's also good for you though, because that means if I got external results from it only this far in, then you probably will too. And even better, you can do it faster than I did because it took me way longer than it should have to actually reach this point, and you can reach it twice, 3 times as fast. So, what split is best? This is like the most common question you'll see in lifting content. Like, what split do I do? Do I do push pull legs or do the bro split? Do I do full body, upper lower, like Jay Cutler's workout? Like, what do I do? And honestly, just choose your favorite one. It's not that complicated. Don't choose one that's optimal, like, you know, the best for muscle building or like muscle timing frequency or whatever, just because it's optimal. Because then if you don't like it, you're just going to end up skipping it because it's too hard or it requires too much time or you just don't like the program, then you're going to end up making less progress because you're skipping it more. And what matters more than the optimal program is the consistency. So honestly, if you're consistent on a suboptimal program, that is miles better than being inconsistent on an optimal program made by a professional bodybuilder for you. That's the truth. So like you can do any of these. You can do full body, upper lower, push pull legs. You can mix them up too. I've seen people do push pull legs, upper lower, full body, upper lower 3 times a week. And you'll see here I put push pull legs with caution. And that's because I think with push pull legs specifically, a lot of people tend to go into push pull legs way too early on in their lifting career. Because in reality, push pull legs is meant to be a very advanced split for people who need a lot of volume. And I see people who have only been lifting for 1 or 2 years going into push pull legs. I'm just thinking, why? You don't have to. You don't have to work out 6 days a week. And like the reason it's an issue, the main reason at least, is just because of the lack of recovery. You're working out 6 days a week, you have one rest day a week. That is like a recipe for burnout and fatigue and plateauing from lack of recovery, especially if you're a novice or even an intermediate. And that's why you only go to push pull legs out of necessity when you have to like really up your volume to still build muscle as an advanced lifter. Like honestly, as an intermediate, I would have just preferred to stay on upper lower like for most of my intermediate journey, but like I made the mistake of going on to push pull legs pretty early and burning out, just like skipping the gym because it's like so much commitment, 6 days a week. Each workout is like pretty hard. It's like an hour and a half each. And it's like think about it, you're going to the gym for 10 hours a week as an intermediate. You probably shouldn't be. As an intermediate, you should probably be going to the gym like 4 to 6 hours a week, honestly, and you can like still make amazing gains on that. So that's why I put push pull legs with caution. I would say if since you're a beginner watching this, like don't even worry about push pull legs. It's the most popular split by bodybuilders, but just don't do it. It's just what's best for the professionals is not always best for a beginner, and that's something you can either learn the easy way. I just spit everywhere. That's something you can either learn the easy way or the hard way. I'm just offering you the easy way. Just do not do push pull legs as a beginner. One more thing I want to cover is the infinite mindset. So the infinite mindset is this concept of like it doesn't really matter what is optimal or not. If it's fun and you keep doing it and stay consistent just because it's fun and you like doing it, then you will hit your goal eventually. If you just go to the gym just because you like it and you do stuff, you will eventually hit your goals because of progressive overload. You can start easy and fun, and then as your tolerance increases, you can just slowly increase intensity and volume and like everything in the optimizations. And you'll get there one day. Just don't worry about being optimal now just to sacrifice your future and your enjoyment. So this is just a kind of a bullshit slide, to be honest with you. The aesthetic muscles, I'm not really a big fan of like this whole concept, but a lot of you guys won't find this video like useful, probably even entertaining unless I talk about the aesthetic muscles. So I'll just go over these pretty quickly. So in my opinion, the 5 aesthetic muscles are the lats, shoulders, upper chest, abs slash waist. You'll see why I put that distinction there, and glutes. And in general, just know that compounds are better than isolations and free weights, and isolation and free weights are better than machines. The only exception for this is really arms and probably some other ones like neck and maybe abs. So first of all, you have lats. So just remember what I said again. Compounds are greater than isolation movements and free weights. And okay, let me just rephrase that sentence. Remember that compounds are better than isolation and free weights, and isolation and free weights are better than machines, and this is very true for lats. I'll see a lot of people doing lat pull downs or these rows as a beginner, which is not really that important to do as a beginner because the biggest focus of being a beginner is to do the core foundations, which in this case are pull-ups and weighted pull-ups if you're strong enough, but I wouldn't say you do weighted pull-ups unless you can do at least 10 or 12 normal pull-ups. And bent over barbell or dumbbell rows. That's up to you whether you want to do barbell or dumbbell. Those two exercises are the biggest because pull-ups build the back width, and then the rows build the back thickness, aka from like the side. And this is also 2-in-1 because pull-ups get you free core training if you do them properly. As someone that like used to be able to do 0 pull-ups and then was able to get to like 16 and now I've like fallen off to like 8 just because of my own inconsistencies. Pull-ups train your abs a lot. Like the first time I did pull-ups and I did like negatives. Negatives are really good if you're bad at pull-ups, by the way. Negatives basically you just like do the pull-up and you slowly let yourself go down. That actually trains your abs hard because what your abs are doing during a pull-up is preventing you from swinging back and forth to make the pull-up easier. So if you tense your abs during pull-up and just like almost military style, just like go up like that, and you never do pull-ups or never like train abs like that, then you're gonna feel like your abs being sore the next day. I feel like I literally train abs after doing pull-ups the first few times. Upper chest, I put upper chest because I think the upper chest is a lot more important than the lower chest, and it also shapes the pec better overall. And also, just most exercises in the gym tend to train lower chest more than upper chest, which is why there's a distinction to train upper chest more. Because flat bench usually hits lower chest. People do decline bench for some reason, which I can understand why. People do like push ups. Push ups are lower chest. Like these are all lower chest activities. And the best exercise by far for upper chest is incline dumbbell press. Anything else beyond that is just a bonus. So do more sets than incline for than flat bench if you want to have like that plate of armor look. Cause like you know how, like a lot of bodybuilders tend to have like this like kind of soggy chest look. Like you probably have seen like YouTube shorts on this. It's like some guy talks about like how Andrew Tate has like a soggy chest, or like Alex Eubank has like, you know, it almost kind of looks like female breast tissue in a weird way. If you want to avoid that, then do more sets of incline. And like obviously I don't have the perfect chest, but you can kind of see here, there's kind of like a plate of armor look versus like a little like ball or like a bulge. So I would say if you want to really focus on incline, you will get more of a plate of armor look. Wow, my throat hurts. Okay, shoulders. Shoulders, I probably should put this slide first because shoulders are one of the most important parts of your physique and by far the most important part of your upper body. And honestly, just don't overcomplicate like shoulders. There's like only three heads to train. There's like the front, mid, and back. And like honestly, most of the focus should just go to the medium because most chest exercises train the front and then the back doesn't need that much volume. So most of your volume should be in the medium, aka lateral raises. Also do standing OHP because it's a good compound movement that just trains your stability and also your shoulder strength, which is also just important to have for life. And then for rear delts, there's a lot of things you can do. You can do rear delt flies where you lie down like this and just like, you can't see me in the frame. You hold a dumbbell, you lie down, you just go like that. Okay. And that looked like a lateral raise, but you're basically going back. Okay. And then I also do face pulls. Face pulls are actually pretty good for rear delts and your mid traps overall. And just actually a fun fact, shoulders are actually a bigger muscle group than your chest or back. It's the biggest muscle group on your upper body, so treat it like that. And like back when I used to work out and do like a lot of, I mean I still work out obviously, but like when I used to do like a lot more volume back when I was in like my peak, my prime, I did more sets of shoulders than chest because shoulders are bigger than your chest. They're supposed to be bigger. The shoulders are the biggest part of your upper body, so make sure you treat it like that. Okay, abs slash waist. I'll explain this distinction in this slide. So I don't have abs, as you can see. I don't really have abs. I'm probably like 16 to 18% body fat here, but I don't have abs. What matters more is just not having belly fat. Like, sure, there's like a tiny bit here, but like in reality, I have a flat stomach. I'm chilling. So you don't actually need abs. I was about to sneeze right there. You don't actually need abs to be aesthetic. That's just unrealistic modern fitness standards because you'll see guys like Alex Eubank, Jesse James West, Greg Doucette, insert generic male fitness influencer. They're all like 8% body fat, have like ripped abs, and like it's not even like just like soft abs. Like, you know, I'm assuming you know what I mean by soft abs. They're just like rock hard abs, veins, everything. It's like that itself is an unrealistic modern standard of fitness because if you look in history, like bodybuilders in the 50s before like the silver age of bodybuilding, they were kind of small. Like I'm saying that now because of like our standards, but back then these are like big guys, and they weren't like crazy lean. They weren't like crazy big either. They just like had some muscle and they just looked healthy, you know. So I'd say aim for old school standards. I don't mean old school like Arnold or like Ronnie Coleman. I mean old school like before bodybuilding was mainstream, before the Silva era, before Steve Reeves. That's what I mean by old school. You'll see those guys. They're not unrealistically big. Every fitness influencer now makes those guys look like complete jokes, and like that shouldn't be the case. And in terms of abs slash waist, sorry, I went on a bit of a side tangent there. In terms of abs slash waist, the shoulder waist ratio is way more important than actually having abs. So if I had to choose between being like a guy with no V taper but having a six pack, or having no six pack just having a flat stomach like this here and having a better V taper, I'd choose the V taper any single day. The shoulder waist ratio is way more important than having abs. Is if you have like a moderately small waist and like wide shoulders and like a back that like goes like this into the waist, That is way more important than having abs. So that's why I'd say just mainly focus on training back and shoulders while not being fat. Obviously, still train abs, but don't really worry about like having abs, especially if it's hard for you. Just don't really worry about it. It's not like something that's necessary to be aesthetic, really, in the modern day. Glutes. So if you thought I was gonna post a picture of my glutes here, then you're mistaken. I'm sorry if I baited you. That's not happening. But just for glutes, I'm gonna be very quick with this because it's pretty simple. But hip thrusts and Romanian deadlifts are king. Those two will like form like 95% of your glutes, maybe 90%. And for some reason, most guys don't train glutes. I see guys training legs. Like there used to be like this whole trend of guys not training legs. I see guys training legs nowadays. I just don't see guys training glutes. Like everyone does like hack squats and like um, like the leg press machine and like leg curls, leg extensions and all that. But no one actually trains glutes as a guy, which is kind of odd to me because no matter how big your quads are, your legs won't look really that big unless your glutes are proportional because glutes are like a sign of athleticism, of like, sprinting, jumping, etc. And no matter how big your legs are, no matter how big your thighs are, your calves, if your glutes are small, you're still gonna look weird. It's always gonna look weird if you have small glutes and like big legs. It will still somehow look skinny. So if you want to avoid that, just look proportional and athletic and strong. Because having big glutes is also a sign of having like a lot of strength, believe it or not. Then I would really take this advice and actually train glutes, unlike most guys in the gym. So then bulk or cut. So if you have to even debate this, then just lean bulk. Like honestly, so let me explain these pictures first. So this is me at the end of my cut. So I was pretty light here. I was probably 142, 143 pounds at like this is at 5'10" by the way. And then this is me at the end of my bulk recently. I gained roughly 22 pounds. I am 165 to 167 in this one. Like I've gained some fat obviously, and a lot of that is also because I like just slacked in the gym and didn't eat the cleanest. But honestly, I'm still proud of this progress, and I'm on a cut right now just to like shed some weight and like be at this leanness, but just obviously significantly bigger. So, like I said, even if you have to even debate like whether you should bulk or cut, just lean bulk. Like it's not that deep. Cutting when you're skinny fat, if you're a skinny fat guy thinking like, should I really bulk? I'm gonna get too fat. I don't want to like lose these love handles and like my flabby arm and my double chin or something. Cutting when you're skinny fat only makes you a smaller skinny fat person. That's the truth. And if you think that like if you're gonna cut as a skinny fat person, you think you're gonna just like become like shredded, you're not. The reason you're skinny fat is because of your genetics, and that means that if you just cut with no muscle, you're just gonna be more skinny fat. Like somehow it'll be like your arms will get even smaller. And sure, your waist will shrink, but it'll shrink in proportion to how much your arms and back shrink. So it'll be like you look exactly the same. You're just like a smaller version of the same skinny fat person. I hope that made sense. There was a lot of stutters in that. In terms of bulking, I bulk on meat, eggs, seafood, fruits, vegetables, cheese, some honey, not too much honey, and full fat dairy. If you're cutting, I would say eliminate dairy for the most part, just because it's not like the most calorie what's the word, calorie smart if you're cutting and trying to like lower your calories. Same thing with that's it. I think just full fat dairy, I would just like not have as much of it if you're cutting. That everything else you can still have. And then another slide, balance is key. So don't overdo the gym. So first of all, let me just say some general things. You have to be in the 10 to 20% body fat range. If you're below 10% body fat, it looks kind of weird and unappealing to the majority of like normal people. Like, yeah, sure, like this gym girl will find you attractive. This like bodybuilder will think that you're pretty cool because you're 6% body fat, but the average person does not think it looks healthy because objectively it's not that healthy to be 6% body fat. So I would not recommend going below 10. And then same with being above 20%. You could be 19-20% and still be chilling, honestly. Like there's no need to actually like have no fat on your body. Like you can have some fat and still be okay, but don't be above 20% because if you're above 20%, that's when the fat starts to hang off your body a bit more. It's like that's when it starts to look a bit more unappealing and a bit more of like the slobbiness. I'm not sure if that's a word. So assuming you're my height of 5'10", then aim between, it's a big range. You can aim between like 140 to 200 pounds, And then for every difference you are in height, like if you're 1 inch taller, then just add 5 pounds to this range. If you're 1 inch shorter, then subtract 5 pounds. But you can see it's a big ass range. Like 140 to 200, that's a 60-pound range. That means that like the ideal body is actually a big range. There's no ideal body. There's no like ideal body like you have to be this weight and like within 5 pounds. It's a 60-pound range. You can be 140 pounds at 5'10" and be like lean, and that's good. That's actually pretty good. You can also be like on the other end. You can be 200 pounds at 5'10", be like 20% body fat. That's still respectable because you're like that guy that's like really big, and like a lot of people will respect that. In general, I'll just say the smaller you are, the leaner you have to be to compensate. So if you're 5'10" and like 150 pounds, but you're like 20% body fat, that's not the best. But if you're 5'10", 150, and like 12% body fat, now we're talking. That's a lot better. And then obviously the bigger you are, you're allowed to be 20% because like let's be honest, if you're 5'10" and 200 pounds, you're not going to be 10% body fat. Like most people cannot do that naturally. But 20% body fat, 20% at 200. Some people with good genetics can achieve that, and like if you can, props to you. So lower end usually gets you to like more of the TikTok boy range, like the skinny TikTok kids. Like think of what's that guy from Summer I Turned Pretty? The curly hair guy. Jeremiah. Think of Jeremiah from Summer I Turned Pretty. I should have put a picture of him, but like that's a skinny guy. I think the actor for him is like 6'2". He's only like 150, 160 pounds. He's pretty light, but he's lean, and that is clearly a look that is in nowadays. The higher end gets to like more of the bulkier, like masculine, like bear look, and then the middle range obviously like being like a 160, 170, 165, while being like pretty lean but not too lean is like more of the middle range of like the athletic athlete range. And then another thing, the 80-20 rule. So I'll just say right now, don't focus on every minute detail. I did not give you that much advice in this video for a reason because honestly, what I've noticed is that usually people function the best on less advice because then your own brain doesn't get in the way and like step on your own toes and you're trying to like make a workout program by thinking like, okay, is this optimal, is this that, etc., etc. So just like focus on lifting consistently, eating clean, and sleeping well. Obviously sleep like 8 to 9 hours a night if you can, at least 7 for sure. Get off of fitness YouTube, including the MMA Mario Brios fight. A lot of people have started this revolution of like obviously like being against bodybuilding, like typical bodybuilding, like Alex Eubank, Greg Doucette, which is like, yeah, I think that's good, but like I don't think it's good to also swing to the other side of just like worshiping MMA idols and getting into like athletic bodybuilding, I think the movement is called, because that has the same problem as normal bodybuilding where it just overcomplicates everything, and anything that overcomplicates like fitness is just a big no. Just remember that. So don't be like me. This is actually a funny story of don't be like me watching lateral raise external rotation form videos. For some reason during I think like senior year of high school, which is 2 years ago for me, I was obsessed with just like the form of a lateral raise because for some reason I just didn't think they were actually growing my shoulders even though they were. I just like kept looking at these videos like, okay, pinky up, thumb up. Like it's like people say different things. Everyone contradicts each other, which is why it's so hard to take fitness advice. Everyone contradicts each other. It's like one guy said like, okay, for lateral raises, you keep your pinky up. Other guy said no, keep your thumb up. And I was like, what do I do? So just don't worry about things like that. Like obviously know the basic forms, and like if you want more help with basic forms and like creating your own workouts, then you can click the first link in the comments. But overall, just don't complicate it. Just know the basic forms and don't worry about like all these like things about like bench arch and like pinky up or thumb up during lateral raises. These are all very unimportant things that arguably aren't even worth 20%. They're worth probably less, so maybe like 2%, and like those things don't matter that much. And just like a final mindset thing, but lifting weights isn't that cool. So like don't make the gym your personality. I used to have this mistake a lot during high school where like in order to make friends I would talk about the gym. Which you can probably see now if you're like more mature. You can probably see why that doesn't work because it just looks kind of weird to talk about the gym all the time, especially if you're trying to like you're trying to talk to a girl and like try to get her number. If you're going to talk to her about the gym, then it's not as cool as you think it is. I used to think that girls would find it cool that I went to the gym and I lifted weights and like, I'm manly, but like it makes you look weird. It makes you look kind of like autistic, to be honest, and like that's not a good look to have. Lifting weights should be a part of your life and not your entire life. If you live in the gym and only talk about the gym, I think you're kind of a loser, to be honest. And there's like I don't mean any offense by saying that. I'm just being genuinely real. I think if you only talk about the gym and like you're talking about like you're on your date with some girl, you're talking about like your 6 meals a day, like getting enough protein and going to the gym and like leg days, like I think that's kind of weird. So that's just my opinion. You don't have to take this slide's advice if you don't want to. I just heavily recommend it. So quick summary. Just aim for athletic and fit more than anything else, okay? And do the split you like the most. You can keep the aesthetic muscle groups in mind, but don't like overthink about it, and also don't skip other muscle groups just because I said these are the most important. Like I didn't list quads or arms in the most aesthetic muscles, but those are still equally important. Not equally important, but those are still important. You should still train those at least every week. Remember this thing. I don't want to say this again because I keep fucking up it every time I say it. When in doubt, just bulk. If you're skinny fat, definitely bulk. Don't cut, because if you cut as a skinny fat person, you'll just be a smaller skinny fat person. And remember that balance is key, okay? So don't aim for anything too unrealistic. Have reasonable goals, natural goals, obviously. I don't want any of you taking PEDs. I'm not going to be one of those people that are like, it's okay to take PEDs. We should be more accepting of it. I don't think we should be accepting of people taking PEDs. I think it's wrong. I think it sets a bad standard. So stay balanced, stay natural. Obviously, 80-20 rule, focus on the big things, eating, like clean, gym consistently, sleeping like 7 to 9 hours a night, and just like don't make the gym your entire life. So that is pretty much it for this video. I'm missing a slide actually. Let me just see if I'm missing a slide, because I swear to God I'm missing a slide somewhere. Yeah, I literally missed a slide. Because I did promise at the beginning of this video that I'd show you how I used to look in the very beginning, and I didn't. Yeah, here it is. Okay. I forgot this slide completely. I just like forgot to go back to it because I remembered it during the video. I was like, I should probably go back, but I just didn't. Okay, but just rewind like 20 minutes of this video. Just pretend I said this 20 minutes ago. So how long will this take? You can do it a lot quicker than I did because I was very inefficient and I did the things I told you not to do, which is like overcomplicating fitness advice, taking too much fitness advice, just having every fitness YouTuber contradict the last, and it just made things way too hard for me. It took me 4 years to make this progress. You can do it in like 1 year, maybe 2 years max. I made a lot of mistakes, and the goal for this guide was for you not to make them. So this was actually me in the beginning, right here. This was me. If you thought the picture and thumbnail was me in the beginning, that was me after 2 years of lifting. This was me in the beginning. I was 5'7", 5'8", and 115, 120 pounds. So I was skinny, okay? Then this was me after about 2 years of lifting. This is how I looked. So like you can see, I don't have the best genetics whatsoever. And like if this is 2 years of lifting for most people, that's like, that kind of sucks. But like that was the reality for me. Then at a certain point, I just kind of got out of shape. This was August of 2023. So this was like a year and a half ago. As you can see, I was fat. I was probably like 23-24% body fat. I have a belly here. I think I was 170 pounds or something. So definitely not ideal. Then I cut weight, got to this picture where I'm like 140, low 140s, like 141, 142, a lot leaner for sure. And then I bulked up again. This is how I am currently looking as of like a week or two ago. So yeah, I should have showed you guys this slide in the beginning, but I forgot, so that's my bad. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want, you can like, comment, subscribe, share this video. It definitely helps me. And if you want more personal advice and you found this advice helpful, but you want more substance and more like actual actionable advice for you to take, then you can click the first link in the comments and look at my pre-sale course. So that being said, I'll see you guys next video.